Well, hello, I'm here with Doug. It is Friday, November 29, 2024, and we're going to talk about intimidation and other stories. Um, but the first thing I realized, I just added this at the end, realizing I hadn't heard about it, is TikTok going to be banned? I looked
Oh,
up the current
yes.
status of this, and it is, in fact, the time to think about this. Congress passed a law in April that set a 9-month deadline for TikTok's owner ByteDance to divest from the app or be booted from U.S. app stores. And the U.S. government is on track to force the app out on January 19, the day before Donald Trump takes office. Biden could extend that by 90 days, but he hasn't said he will. So TikTok is appealing in court and challenging it, but those arguments are going badly, and analysts generally do not think they're going to succeed. So Trump has said he would try to save the app once in office, but you never know if Trump is going to do what he says or not. So its future in America is, in fact, very unclear. And I guess we'll find out next month.
Yeah, Sam, I brought this up, so you were fact checking me on this, huh?
Yeah, I was looking for more details. I mean, I
Yeah,
wondered,
so
and so
yeah.
that's the current status. Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting. And do you
Hard
think
to
it was a
believe.
coincidence that the deadline was the day before Trump takes office?
Oh,
Or
I,
I
oh, I
should
think,
say the new president.
oh, I think it is. I mean, back at that
Yeah,
time, I don't think
yeah.
anybody was thinking about the election, and people probably thought that Biden would win another term. Nobody really thought Trump would get back in. Just like in 2016, nobody thought Trump could get in. Oh, the general belief is, no, this is crazy. Nobody would put that guy in.
Yeah, true, true.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see. The TikTok saga continues.
Yeah. And the other
And
one, yeah,
yeah, so wasn't isn't TikTok is already banned in some country, isn't it? In Brazil,
I don't
South
know.
America?
Might be. I know it's banned for official government phones in America.
Yeah, but I
I don't know.
think
Yeah,
I think it's geo blocked in maybe South America or Europe.
might be.
Uh
I know the
yeah.
version we use is banned in China, which is a bad sign.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And
All right.
in the
You
same
got another one.
spirit,
Oh,
another one continuing what we said before, Australia passed their law banning social media for people under 16. But as usual, it doesn't make any sense. The law requires social media platforms to, quote, take reasonable steps, end quote, to ensure that people under 16 can't use their services. How they do that is up to them. However, the government will soon run an age verification trial that it thinks will be instructional and has promised that citizens will be able to use social media without having to show ID. But the details of how that will work are not known. They have done this before. Australian legislators like to pass a law which cannot, in fact, be implemented. Like one other thing that countries pass frequently is a law that says what you have to do is encrypt all your traffic so bad guys can't snoop on people, but also the cops have to be able to get in anytime they want. And the technologists say, you can't have both of those things. They say, shut up, you must do it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we saw that with AT&T, right? In the back door that they had into the
Well,
telco systems.
Well, that's Kalia. I mean, they've had that all
Kalia,
along. So, I
yeah,
mean, the current state is they must let the
yeah,
cops in anytime they want, and therefore the hackers can get in. And the
yeah,
hackers hack the phone network all the time. That's what
yeah,
happens.
yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
I got one. Is there
Yeah.
any more to the story?
Nope.
Okay, this is an interesting one. It's probably hit the news. I don't know, big time, but there was a Cybertruck accident in Piedmont, California, which is in the Bay Area,
Mm.
that killed three teenagers. There were four teenagers in it. Three were killed, and one was rescued. And the story that's being reported is that they were going high speed. They kind of lost control. Solo car accident. But what's 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 of interest to the story is that the car caught on fire, and so there was a car behind it, the Cybertruck. Somebody ran out, and one of the passengers was able to open the door, and so the person in the car behind rescued the one person and no doubtedly saved that person's life. There's no question about it. But as I understand it, they couldn't open the other doors. They didn't know how to open the doors with the Tesla because the handles are recessed.
Yeah.
They didn't know to push. And I guess the other, and The other issue is, I don't think they tried this, but if they would have tried to smash the window, the Tesla truck's windows are supposed to be non-breakable,
Oh yeah.
although Elon proved otherwise. But
Yeah.
I'm making a joke there, but
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
remember that demo. Yeah.
yeah, so you got flames coming up all around. You
Yeah.
got literally moments before the rescuer starts to get burned.
Yeah.
So the other three perished in the car crash.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting, just what's going on in social media, that, why didn't the rescuer rescue the others? And look, the only way you know to open a Tesla door, especially in a panic situation, is you got to know to push the button because there's nothing to pull on.
Yeah, I've seen those doors and they look funny to me, and I don't know how to open them either.
Yeah, you have to push, which pulls the handle out, and then you can pull it. And the reason that they were built that way is for aerodynamic and to increase the miles per gallon, if you will, or miles
Yeah.
per kilowatt. So anyway, sad story over there in Piedmont. And Piedmont is sort of an upscale community that's very quiet,
Yeah.
and very sad what happened there.
Well, I know those cyber trucks are really heavy. I bet there's pretty easy for them to go out of control.
Yeah. So, one of the other claims is, oh, we need to make it so that the batteries don't catch on fire.
That would be nice.
That would be nice, except the batteries are filled with energy. And somehow, if that energy is being released, just like with gasoline, it burns. So do the batteries. So
Well, I've
if you
seen
want,
Toyota saying they're going to switch from lithium to some other solid state thing. Maybe it will
yeah,
be less prone to catching on fire. I don't know.
maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the problem with EVs, but again, you have the problem with car crashes with gasoline cars that they catch on
Oh yeah.
fire too, as
And
well
and
as
Lord
planes.
and Lord
So,
knows hydrogen. People are pushing hydrogen, and you think of the Hindenburg. I mean, obviously there's going to be
yeah,
risks there.
yeah. Plus, with hydrogen, you have high pressure storage at the fueling facilities.
Yeah.
So, I think that's worse, but we only have a handful of those in comparison to gas stations.
Yeah.
But even gas stations sometimes catch on fire. Somebody hits the pump
Yeah.
or a nozzle breaks or something. And so
Oh, it
anyway,
used to
all
be
right.
people smoking near the pump used to be the thing.
Yeah, I talked to a guy who was a tank delivery driver. He was delivering gas one morning. He smoked, and he said that he threw his match down on the ground. He was 50 feet away from the truck that was putting gas into the underground storage tank. And he said he threw his match down or cigarette butt down, and he said the whole ground lit up on fire, not an explosion, because gas doesn't explode per se, but the whole ground, just the vapors were burning, if you will. So he ran over to the truck, he shut off the valve, the vapors disappeared, right, and everything was fine. And he looked, and his pants were burned for about a foot,
Oh yeah.
up as at the vapor level. Again, it was 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock delivery in the morning. Everything was still. So those gas vapors, which are heavier than air, would have hugged the ground. Makes perfect sense, but boy, was he lucky, huh?
Oh yeah. I remember
Yeah.
when my dad used to teach organic chemistry, and they would have a lab where they would fill the room with ether. Everybody's like boiling ether for the lab, and they tell
Yeah.
you, for God's sake, don't set off a spark. And he said it happens sometimes. If you set off a spark, the whole room will fill with blue flame. It'll burn your eyebrows off, and it uses up all the oxygen in the room, so people can die. So
You got
anyway,
to be careful with this stuff, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I got one I've wondered about for years. The undersea fiber optic cables keep getting cut, and people argue about it. Well, now they caught a Chinese ship doing it deliberately, apparently.
Really?
A Chinese ship was surrounded by European vessels due to suspicions it attempted to sabotage fiber optic undersea cables in the Baltic Sea. It dragged an anchor over 100 miles over northern Europe's Baltic seabed, apparently to intentionally damage the cables. and cables connecting Lithuania and Sweden, as well as Finland and Germany, were slashed. So they're investigating. So I don't understand what possible motivation China would have to do this, but apparently they did it.
I'm stunned. I mean, I'm trying to think through why would they want to do that?
I've
What's
heard about this for years. The cables keep
have you?
getting damaged, and people keep saying it's intentional sabotage. And I wonder too, what would make them do that?
Yeah, I've heard of sharks biting the cable,
Yeah.
and they because apparently they're attracted to the electrical impulses.
Yeah, but for the last several years, I've heard several cases like this where a bunch of cables were cut apparently deliberately and several cables in a similar region. It does seem like somebody is out there deliberately sabotaging those cables. I'm not sure why, because there's a bunch of alternative routes. I don't even think they managed to cut one nation off the internet this way.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
it,
I believe Lithuania was off the internet for a while,
well,
and
maybe they
and
succeeded in that. Now,
well, no,
I suppose you could fix stock market prices or something this way.
yeah, but yeah, you could. So in Lithuania, it was an intentional cut, but it was by a woman that was collecting cable to return to a recycler, and
Right.
she cut the cable that was the internet for the entire country.
Yeah, I heard that one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean that at least you understand why they're doing it there. I
yeah.
don't
That
understand
makes
what they're getting out of this.
well, PG&E is having a problem, and there are people that are shooting guns
Yeah.
at PG&E power transformers.
Well, yeah, and that is actually recommended by I think right-wing, basically militias, in order to destabilize society. To bring about the race war or something.
I see, I see. So I know it happened in San Jose,
Yeah.
and what's interesting about the San Jose shooting is they knew pretty much where to put the bullets in the transformer. You
Yeah.
got big boxes, but there are key areas where critical components are that are difficult to repair.
Yeah.
So, the problem with that is PG&E's prices are already high enough already.
Well,
So
they
now you
can't
got to pay
possibly
for, yeah,
put armor around all this. I know, and that's
yeah,
why I think this is, and there are right-wing militia sites that tell you how to do this. Just
I
like the
see.
CIA tells you to sabotage things like the railroad and public toilets just to destabilize a society, they have the same feeling here that we must have, a
Yeah,
revolution of some kind, and therefore just messing up this society, blowing up the power grid would help bring about the glorious revolution.
yeah, gotcha, gotcha. All right.
So Project 2025 is
Yes, let's
perhaps
talk about
coming.
that.
Well, it may be coming. Of course, it may not be coming. As usual, nothing is clear about what Trump's really going to do. But one of the things it says is that any state that does not report who's getting abortions to the federal government will lose their funding for Medicaid. And that would be $300 million to Medi-Cal. And California is one of three states that currently do not report who's getting abortions because they don't have to, and they're probably going to refuse to. And this is part of what Newsom said. He's trying to prepare for a Trump administration, trying to prepare California to protect its citizens from the stuff Trump promises to do. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of argument about us trying to be a sanctuary state and not deport our immigrants, which Trump will
Yeah,
demand we do. So there'll be quite a showdown on these issues.
yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It all reminds me very much of the Reagan years. So.
And what's the requirement for reporting?
Well, it hasn't been officially stated yet, but Project
Yeah,
2025 just says you'll have to do it. And there's another similar one in Texas. There's a Texas law that any hospital that takes in a patient must ask them if they're U.S. citizens. So they can keep track of how much money is being wasted on non-citizens. It's very much the anti-immigrant thing.
yeah.
But one of the doctors at a Texas hospital posted a viral TikTok telling patients they're not legally obligated to answer that question. And another hospital actually hands out a flyer saying, you don't have to answer this question. And so the governor has said he's going to pull their funding to punish them for this.
Hmm. Yeah, this
And so we'll see
is
if he can do that. Now, by the way, it is entirely correct that you don't have to answer the question. And this reminds me of the gag orders over abortion that have been coming out every couple of years for the last 20 years. They passed rules that doctors cannot tell women that they could have an abortion or they should have an abortion or where they could get an abortion. They can't answer any questions about it. And this puts doctors in a really bad position. You can't even talk to people.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood. Understood.
Anyway,
So it's going to get interesting with all this, huh?
yeah, well, this is the big fight in our society. The right wants these things, and they want to force everybody to live by what they see as moral code. So they're sincere about it. Abortion is murder. You have to stop it. Immigrants are just evil rapists and killers. You must drive them out. And you guys are crazy to resist us on these clearly moral great things. That's why there's so
Yeah.
much
Well,
pressure from that side and so much pressure on the other side saying these are bad things. It's kind of an unresolvable conflict.
yeah. I saw a bumper sticker. It was the picture of an Indian, Native American rather, with a headdress on with the feathers. And it says essentially, you were the original or illegal immigrants.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why it's incredibly hypocritical for
Yeah.
Americans to say we don't like immigrants. Like we're all immigrants. What is this garbage?
Except for the people that were here, the
Yeah,
natives,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. And we
Yeah.
haven't
No.
treated them very well. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
by this logic, they should be the ones given the most privileges and in charge, and that is totally not the way it is.
Yeah. All
Uh,
right. So I got a story. Sam, we talked about this. The Onion bought Infowars,
oh yeah. Well,
right?
the last I heard, Infowars was fighting back in court, so maybe they don't really have it yet.
Ah, okay. But there's a tangent to the story.
Yeah.
So Onion buys Infowars, went to Twitter to try and get the account. They said, here, the court documents are. And Elon came back and said, no, you don't get the account. We own it. Did you hear this story?
No, I did not, but I'm not surprised.
So
Elon,
Elon says, nope, social media, we own all the accounts. We're just loaning them to you to use.
well, he's done
So,
that before. He's actually just taken accounts from people that he wanted and just thrown them off. He's definitely asserted that he owns all the accounts and you have no right to them.
yeah, so this is going to be an interesting legal battle. And I believe that the Onion is considering a lawsuit against Twitter.
Well, I don't understand. I mean, it seems like Elon is obviously right. It's his social network, they're his accounts, it's his rules. How could you claim you own your Twitter account? I guess you might want
Well,
to
so
service, but
Sam, who owns the Twitter account for the President of the United States?
I think Twitter does.
Correct. Under Elon's,
I think they
right?
can do anything they want with it, right? It's like a restaurant. You put up a sign saying we can refuse service to anyone.
But you can't. There's certain people you can't refuse service to, can you?
I don't.
Blacks in protected classes.
Well, they can sue. Yeah,
Yeah,
they can
yeah.
sue if you appear to have a consistent pattern of discrimination. So I guess you could try that, but I don't think TikTok or what is it? The
Twitter,
Onion. I don't think
X.
the Onion.
Oh,
Well, if you could, I don't think a political party is a protected class, though. You can't say you kicked off all
no.
the Democrats and that's illegal. If you kick out all the blacks, that would be illegal, but I don't think kicking out like the Democrats would be illegal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it's going to get interesting.
Yeah.
But what also is going on here, think about this in a bigger scheme, that social media sells information like Twitter to AI learning engines, right? To companies to
Well, Twitter just changed their terms of service about a few weeks ago to do that, that they'll use all your data to train AI. Yeah.
Yeah, so it means that we don't really own our information. We don't own our posts.
Well, I think that's true. And I think people should have understood that all along. Facebook and everything, if you give them stuff, you've given them that stuff. They can do
Yeah.
what they want with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess, you're gifting it.
Yeah.
You could say legally gifting it to the platform. You're freely contributing it.
Well, I think so, but of course, it really should say that in the terms of service. If they didn't state that clearly in the terms of service, then you might have grounds for some argument.
Yeah, we're not lawyers,
Yeah.
but lawyers, I think, wouldn't even be able to answer this question. It only goes to a court
Oh,
and
yeah.
ultimately the Supreme Court to decide.
Yeah. I mean, I remember a few years ago, I think Facebook would just take people's Facebook posts and then put them in ads saying, gee, I love this platform and stuff. And people said, I didn't give permission to that. And they said, well, we totally own this stuff. We can do anything we want with it. And again, that's not 100% clear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if the InfoWars goes through. So you don't think Onion officially owns it yet?
And no, I think it's being battled over
It's
still.
be okay.
I mean, I
Okay.
think Alex Jones has claimed that the auction was rigged or something, and he didn't really get a fair.
Voter fraud. Voter fraud.
Very well. Well, what else would you expect Alex Jones to say? He's got some
Yeah.
conspiracy theory saying it wasn't really fair. Of course he does. What else would he have? Anyway, speaking of these lunatics, more about Elon Musk. So Elon Musk has now he's made the Department of Government Efficiency. And so now
Yes.
what he's doing is targeting individual government workers. He reposted two X posts that revealed the names and titles of people holding four relatively obscure climate-related government positions and saying these positions are stupid, these guys should be fired. And so now that he names them personally, his mob of flying monkeys has attacked them. In the past, this has led to people having to lose their job, sell their house, go into hiding. At least one of these people has, um, one of the four women named has deleted their social media accounts, and the posts have been viewed tens of millions of times, and the individuals get a barrage of negative attention, probably death threats and everything. This is incredibly abusive and bullying, and this is what Trump does. And this is what Rudy Giuliani did and ended up with a multi-million dollar finding against him. They just pick random people and defame them on social media, and then all the gullible right-wingers will attack them and threaten them and scare them and ruin their lives. So it really is sort of horrible. I mean, he doesn't actually need any government authority to just create witch hunts against random people he chooses.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, morally, this is incorrect
Yeah,
in a healthy society. This should, democratic society, this should not be happening.
yeah. And,
But this,
it's actually illegal if you go far enough. Like Rudy
is
Giuliani.
it?
Well, Rudy Giuliani repeatedly said these women committed voter fraud. They were handing a USB stick full of votes and cheating. And he said this over and over again until they got death threats and everything. And they won in court saying he had defamed them falsely and injured them. And they won like $160 million.
So it's kind of like the InfoWars with Alex Jones and the Sandy
Yeah.
Hook shootings. Yeah.
Yeah. There is some level of outrageous lies about people where you actually get punished. But you have to get really extreme because free speech covers a lot of it. And what Elon Musk
Yeah.
said is this is a stupid position. They should just abolish the position. And that is probably not going to be enough to win a defamation case in court, I suppose.
Yeah, but publishing, doxing, if you will,
Yeah.
government employees.
Well, apparently the documents were technically public anyway, but nobody could find them. But technically, the name and their position title is not secret.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But now it's made more public, widespread. Okay, I get it.
And he sends
Yeah,
his army of he has a huge army of fanboys, that will just attack anybody he criticizes, just like Trump has.
yeah,
People
yeah,
that powerful really ought to be careful of what they say, but they totally aren't.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is like leaking the members of a jury while a trial is taking place and or something along those lines.
Same kind of
It's
thing.
just, yeah, it's really what it's doing. It's making our system less trustworthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Normal newspapers are always very careful to say allegedly before they talk about someone committing a
yeah,
crime and not mention the names of minors and stuff. And social media is just not careful about this stuff. And you can see why they should be.
yeah, yeah. All right, what's next
There's,
story? What do you got for us?
there's another very similar one. So
Oh
Musk,
no.
so
Oh no.
see Vindeman, the guy that turned in Trump for his first phone call to Ukraine that led to the first impeachment. Vindeman had an interview, and he said that he thinks Elon Musk is being unwittingly used by Russia. He said, clearly Putin has a type. He likes narcissists and egomaniacs that he knows as a case officer can easily pander to manipulate, to do his dirty work. Um, Russia has been using different levers, whether that's corruption networks, in this case, it's influencers like Donald Trump, like Elon Musk, to sow discord. That's what he said. So Elon Musk replied and said Vindman is on the payroll of Ukrainian oligarchs and has committed treason against the United States and should be punished. So it's more of the same. Remember when there was some kids trapped in a cave in France, and Elon wanted to make a robot sub to get them, and some guy said that won't work, and he said, "Well, that guy's just a pedophile," based on nothing. And that guy ended up, of course, accused by everybody and harassed by everybody. And when his Eli Roth, his Twitter's director of safety, said, we should be moderating these foolish statements on Twitter, he fired him and said he's a pedophile. And that guy had to leave and move out of town and everything. And then he refused to pay his back pay. He's still in court trying to get it. He just has a huge history of doing this. Anybody that criticizes him at all, he will make outrageous, slanderous accusations against you to ruin your life. So I think,
I see.
again, he's pushing it and pushing it. And it's possible there may actually be some limit of this where you'll get punished, but apparently not if you're rich and powerful in America.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
Rudy Giuliani wasn't powerful enough, but apparently Trump and Elon are above the law and they can do anything they want. Anyway, there's one more similar in this ground area.
Okay.
Mexican president. Trump said that the Mexican are sending criminals across our open border and they're flooding a country with fentanyl, and he's going to put a 25% tariff on them until they knock it off. And the president of Mexico really struck back strongly, saying, this is all garbage. The border is not open. In fact, we have implemented strong defenses inside Mexico that have caused the number of people crossing the border to drop by 75% in the last year. And so she said at the center of so the Mexican president's takedown exposes, of course, the mega scam. All Trump ever said is our open borders are crazy, and it's just not true. At the center of his big lie, this is the lie floating in plain sight, that the underlying suggestion that Mexico is not doing anything to stop migrants from coming. Mexico has developed a comprehensive policy, this is what the president said, to assist migrants, and according to data from your country's Custom and Border Protection, encounters at the Mexico and United States borders have decreased by 75% between December 2023 and November 2024. Trump does not allow that the reality depicted by our own data even exists. During the fall campaign, he endlessly repeated the lie that our open border is getting obliterated by a world-class invasion, even as apprehensions plummeted and matched levels sometimes seen during Trump's presidency. So it's, in case anybody cares, it was all a lie, all this invasion stuff. I know that nobody on the right believes it or cares. That's why I hear a lot of leftist people saying now that, well, pretty soon when they see how Trump's tariffs and deportations crash the economy, they'll be sorry. But I don't think so, because I think they'll just watch right-wing propaganda that will tell them it's not happening, and that they will never know the truth is happening. So you can just get away with anything.
Yeah. When did we see this before in the history of the world?
Constantly everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. You always blame somebody.
Yeah, and you can just ignore the truth, like in Russia. The average person just believes Putin's lies, that there's all these Nazis in Ukraine and they're saving these helpless Russians. And
Same in North Korea, right?
yeah, North Korea
story.
or China, or mainland China, where they say everybody's happy with the system. There's no democracy protests. You can get away with almost anything if you control the media.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
And if the people are actually starving and suffering, then you have to just come up with some excuse where it's somebody else's fault. And
all right.
The principle of America, though, is that you can't fool all the people all the time, and there will come some point at which they will rebel.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay. Do you have another story? I'm out of stories. Is that it for you?
I think that's it. All right.
Okay. Sounds
another
good.
One of these on Tuesday.
Yeah, it'll be December.
It will.
December, what, 2nd? 3rd? December 3rd.
I don't have a calendar. You could be right.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, December 3rd.
Okay. We'll be back then.
Yeah.